It's the last day of the month, and this is Sunset News, where we bring you the latest local news, international news, the story of the day, community talk, tomorrow's weather, economic indicators, and sports news. My name is Ashwin Berry. Now, first in the news tonight. 4 rapes were reported again last weekend. The first incident occurred in Mariento, according to the Namibian Police Weekend Report. It is alleged that the 23-year-old female victim was raped by a 21-year-old man while she was under the influence of alcohol and asleep. The police investigation is ongoing. Furthermore, in Keetmanshoop on Friday, a 15-year-old girl was raped by a 35-year-old man and subsequently held in his room. The following day, a 24-year-old man was reportedly arrested in Oshikuku after allegedly raping a 20-year-old woman. Also in Ongenga in the Ohangwena region, an 18-year-old boy allegedly raped a 5-year-old several times. Truly horrific. Now, as from Wednesday, motorists will pay 1.20 Namibian dollars per litre extra for petrol and 1.30 Namibian dollars for diesel, the Ministry of Mines and Energy has announced. The ministry warns that the country might continue to experience further fuel price increments during the coming months due to the volatility of the market. This is the second fuel price increase for the year 2022, following 8 increases in 2021. The sharp increases in petroleum products are ascribed by excess demand for oil products as well as geopolitical tension in oil-producing regions. Let's have a look.
Under recoveries recorded, the fuel prices for March will be adjusted as follows. Increase in petrol price by $1.20 per litre, an increase in the diesel price by $1.30 per litre. These adjustments will become effective on the 2nd of March 2022. It therefore means that the new fuel pump price in Walvis Bay will become $17.15 per litre for unleaded petrol and $17.28 per litre for diesel 50 ppm. Fuel prices across the rest of the country will be adjusted accordingly.
In our next story, a delegation of representatives from several major United States companies led by Akuna Cook, a visiting senior State Department official responsible for the U.S.'s economic diplomacy for all of Africa, kicked off an exploration visit for investment and commercial opportunities in Namibia yesterday. The delegation includes officials from the U.S. Department of Commerce, Power Africa, and the American Chamber of Commerce in South Africa, as well as major American firms in the industries of construction and engineering, energies, and health. Now, the Namib Desert does not currently live up to its name, desert. It is a green, water-rich paradise to which many city dwellers and villagers flock on weekends. Local tourism is booming, with many lodges such as Gondwana currently having a green package for Namibians who want to experience the beauty of Namibia's rainy season landscapes. Now, government has launched a national quality management policy which should guide the transformation of its health sector into one that can withstand health crises such as the COVID-19 pandemic and to provide safe, efficient, and good quality services to all people everywhere when required. The World Health Organization statistics of 2020 estimates that between 5.7 and 8.4 million deaths are attributed to poor quality care each year in low and middle income countries, which represents up to 15% of overall deaths in these countries. During the launch ceremony yesterday, Dr. Charles Sagor Moses, WHO representative, said a range of countries and conditions show systematic deficits in quality of care, adding that in low and middle income countries, mothers and children receive less than half of recommended clinical actions in a typical preventive or curative visit. After heavy rains in and around Khobabis on Sunday afternoon, the roofs of Epako High School and some parts of the building were blown away or even damaged by rain. It is reported that it rained about 100 millimeters east of Khobabis, where the school is located. The rain, which lasted less than an hour, was accompanied by squalls. The Director of Education, Pekka Semba, told local media that the damaged blocks belonged to the boys' dormitory and about 290 students were affected by the rains. All right, that brings us to the end of our top stories. More news in your community talk after the break. It's one thing to live in a community, it's another thing to know what transpires within that community. So let's get into your community talk. Having been earmarked as a court to handle gender-based violence cases, equipment is currently being installed at the Katutura Magistrates Court that should be functional in the next few months. Jereen Hoff reports.
In December last year, government identified the Katutura Magistrates Court as a gender-based violence court, and equipment is currently being installed that should be functional in the coming months. When she tabled the Combating of Domestic Violence Amendment Bill, Justice Minister Ivan Dausep sought to provide special arrangements which include, but are not limited to, giving evidence behind a screen or in another room, which is connected to the courtroom by means of a closed-circuit television or a one-way mirror for vulnerable witnesses. The bill also makes provision for the court to add further provisions to direct the perpetrator to take part in a counselling or treatment program, while it now requires a notification of any breach of a protection order by the police officer who opened the docket to the clerk of the court who issued the order to ensure that a notation is entered into the relevant file. Lastly, it is important to state that the bill clarifies that protection orders and any related criminal charges can be pursued simultaneously. This places a duty on the police officers who open dockets in respect of a domestic violence complaints to advise a complainant of the possibility of applying for a protection order while the criminal charge is pending. Dausep added that although much more needs to be done to put an end to violence against particularly vulnerable persons like women, children and those with disabilities, the tabling of this bill is an important step in the right direction. According to her, this enables policymakers to take the lead in changing attitudinal and social patterns. It further raises increased awareness about the rights of all persons who are victims of this unfortunate state of affairs.
Staying with community talk, Rundu's dump site remains in a deplorable condition while town council is seemingly sitting with arms crossed. Kenya Kamboe contributed this clip.
It has been over 7 months since Rundu Town Council announced plans to revamp its dump site, yet nothing tangible has been done on the site that has been neglected for many years. In July last year, NMH reported on how RTC has sought approval from the Urban and Rural Development Ministry to outsource the management of this dump site. 3 million was earmarked for that project, which includes fencing, a security gate and resurfacing the access road. However, according to Rundu Chief Executive Olavi Nathaniel, they continue to await for a legal opinion before the project can commence. Meanwhile, while council sits with their arms crossed, the dumping site is becoming an unbearable and filthy eyesore as things are going from bad to worse. With council failing to effectively collect refuse in the town, homeowners who are able to do so dump refuse at the dump site at their own cost while still paying their monthly refuse fee.
Now, as the Russian invasion continues, Yolanda now spoke to a Namibian student currently stuck in Ukraine about her experience. More on that in your story of the day after the break. Now, as the world focuses on Russia and Ukraine, Namibians and Africans alike have been wondering what will happen with our children in those countries. While Yolanda now spoke to a Namibian student currently stuck in Ukraine about her experience. With the internet out, they lost contact, and her last known location was in Lviv en route to Poland. Close to 100 Namibian students are trying to leave the country after Russia invaded Ukraine on Thursday. Have a look.
Namibian students currently studying in Ukraine are trying to flee the country embroiled in a war with Russia since last week. They want to leave either per train or with bus. While some of the students said they were hiding in bunkers when Russia invaded Ukraine on Thursday, they are now trying to leave the country, some even without documentation or passports. I spoke to a student there and she has more information on her experience.
Actually, it's not a good experience for a foreigner to experience war situation, bombs explodes and all kind of missiles, in a foreign country without any anything. But I can just say the situation here is really not good. I have been in a bunker, which is like a bomb shelter, for 2 days, and I managed to come out yesterday just because I want to go out of the capital city, and it was a very difficult situation to do that, to leave where I was hiding from bombs and all that. So I managed to go to the train station, and I met some other students there. So it was even so hard to get the train, because everybody, you foreigners and Ukrainians, are trying to leave capital city because it's very dangerous to be there. They're trying to bomb up the whole city and all that, so everyone is just running out to make it at least to our mission of leaving the capital city is to make up to Poland, so at least we can fly out. So right now, as I'm talking, I'm in in a city called Lviv, which is closer to the border, which I'm happy, I'm kind of relieved. But even as I'm talking right now, outside there are all over sirens ringing, alerting us about maybe some explodes to happen in few minutes and all that. And I just can't go outside and show whatever is going on, but people are confused. Everyone is just up and down, don't know what to do and all that. Mostly foreigners. Foreigners are really confused because they are just trapped here in Ukraine. You can't fly out. They have stopped the airspace.
We certainly hope they can safely return home. Now, the mining industry and most of the industries in the tertiary sector are expected to drive the economy in 2022-2023. More on that in your economic news after the break. Thank you for staying with us. Now, in economic news, the mining industry and most of the industries in the tertiary sector are expected to drive the economy in 2022 and 2023. According to the Bank of Namibia, the domestic economy is projected to grow by 3.4% in 2022 and to 3.7% in 2023. Diamond mining is anticipated to expand by 26.2% in 2022 and 16.5% in 2023, as the new mining vessel is expected to commence production during the second quarter of 2022. In addition, despite risks from low prices and water supply issues, the uranium mining sector is expected to grow by 3.9% and 6.6% in 2022 and 2023 respectively. Apart from mining, the agriculture, forestry and fishing sectors are also expected to record a positive growth in 2022. Let's have a look at your economic indicators. The Namibian dollar is up against all major currencies except for the US dollar. On the NSX, Capricorn stocks are up, while First Rand Namibia stock is down. Now, Oryx Property stocks are up, while SPN stocks are down. The local index as well as the overall index is also up. All commodities are down, with gold losing 2.66%. Stay with us. Weather after the break. Now, further rain is predicted for large areas of Namibia later this week, with heavy downpours in the northwest. Let's have a look at your predictions. Katima is still the hottest in the north with 36 degrees, and the capital has a low of 16 degrees and a high of 28 degrees. In the south, Mariento is the hottest at 37 degrees, and the coast is nice and balmy between 16 and 23 degrees. After the break, we're going to be looking at the Russia-Ukrainian talks, which are currently underway. See you soon. Now, in international news, talks between Russian and Ukrainian officials began in the Belarusian city of Gomel today, 4 days after Russia invaded Ukraine, the biggest assault on a European state since World War II. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky rejected the talks in Belarus, accusing it of allowing Russian troops through its territory to invade. However, he left the door open for negotiations elsewhere. The talks came as Russia faced deepening economic isolation following Western sanctions. The aim of the talks was an immediate ceasefire and the withdrawal of Russian forces, according to the Ukrainian president's force. Russia has been cagey about the talks, with the Kremlin declining to comment on Moscow's aim. It was not clear whether any progress could be achieved after Russian President Vladimir Putin put Russia's nuclear-armed units on high alert on Sunday. The talks are being held on the border with strong Russian ally Belarus, which has become a launchpad for the invading Russian troops. The Western-led response to the invasion has been emphatic, with sanctions that effectively cut off Moscow's major financial institutions from Western markets. Russia's ruble currency plunged 30% against the dollar on Monday. Countries also stepped up weapons supplies to Ukraine. Have a look at this.
Президент Лукашенко искренне надеется, что сегодня, в ходе сегодняшних переговоров удастся найти пути решения всех кризисных вопросов. И все белорусы борются за это. Любые ваши просьбы и предложения, касающиеся организации сегодняшней встречи, будут приняты и беспрекословно исполнены.
We'll certainly be keeping an eye on that. Now, after the break, we get active with sport. Stay with us.
Join the club, the Infinity Club with Paratus, and jump into a world of limitless connectivity. For only $599 per month excluding VAT, the new LTE Infinity Lite package that includes a Wingle will overcome all limitations. Visit paratus.africa/NA for more information.
Always prepared. Paratus.
Let's get straight into your sport. Local boxing promoter and trainer Nestor Tobias said that all is set for next month's Together as One Part 6 Boxing Bonanza, which will be held at Helao Nafidi in the Ohangwena region on 19 March. The event will be headlined by Philippas Energy Ngitumbwa. Now, Namibian T12 sprinter Chris Kinder and his guide Rivaldo Hoazeb have set their eyes on representing Namibia for the first time at this year's Commonwealth Games in England. The two will be traveling to the United Arab Emirates to compete in the 2022 International Paralympic Committee Dubai Grand Prix from 21 to 24 March. Now, Zenatha Coleman inspired Fenerbahce to a 2-1 Istanbul derby victory over log leaders Besiktas in the Turso Women's Football Super League clash. The Namibian broke deadlock with a stunning long-range drive. She now has 6 goals and 4 appearances since making her debut. Ooh, the brave gladiators could definitely make use of her. Stay with us. Your highlights after the break. Thank you for staying with Sunset News through the last half hour. Let's get into your highlights. 4 rapes were reported again last weekend. The first incident occurred in Mariento, according to the Namibian Police Weekend Report. It is alleged that the 23-year-old female victim was raped by a 21-year-old man while she was under the influence of alcohol and asleep. Furthermore, in Keetmanshoop on Friday, a 15-year-old girl was raped by a 35-year-old man and subsequently held in his room. The following day, a 24-year-old man was reportedly arrested in Oshikuku after allegedly raping a 20-year-old woman. Also in Ongenga in the Ohangwena region, an 18-year-old boy allegedly raped a 5-year-old girl several times. As from Wednesday, motorists will pay $1.20 Namibian dollars per litre extra for petrol and $1.30 for diesel, the Ministry of Mines and Energy has announced. The sharp increases in petroleum products are ascribed by excess demand for oil products as well as geopolitical tension in the oil-producing regions. A delegation of representatives from several major United States companies led by Akuna Cook, a visiting senior State Department official responsible for the U.S.'s economic diplomacy for all of Africa, kicked off an exploration visit for investment and commercial opportunities in Namibia yesterday. And with that, we have come to the end of the broadcast. Make sure you join Sunset News on Facebook and all the NMH platforms on weekdays, as well as on our website, oneup2.com. Sunset News screens on DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 94 every weekday from 7:30 to 8. I am Ashwin Berry. This has been Sunset News. You shouldn't end your day without us.